It's no secret that some items in RuneScape have absurd virtual price tags. In this video, we're going to take a look at these expensive items, so whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you like my RuneScape content and want to stay updated with the recent news, be sure to subscribe. When you think of expensive items, you don't necessarily think of a seed, but yet there's an item in RuneScape that is a seed that is very expensive. It's the Gout Tuber. It's a rare item to attain from the Taibo Wanna Cleanup minigame, and for that reason costs about 5 million GP. The only real use it has outside of questing is you being able to grow a gout weed, which allows you to collect gout weeds, which are herbs you can trade in at Sanfew Taverly for random herbs at a 1-on-1 ratio. So yeah, in RuneScape you can't just get scammed by other players, you can get scammed by NPCs as well. Now when you think of expensive ammunition in RuneScape, you think Elder God Arrows or Becronal Boltee, but no. It's actually the Death Touch Dart, costing 5 million GP a pop when bought from the Traveling Merchant store. This item allows you to instant kill the majority of bosses and monsters in this game in a single hit, and is one of the most expensive ways of doing something. But there is something in this game that will cost you more money per hour, and that is construction. In the player-owned house, you're able to build a bit of furniture called the Demonic Throne, which will set you back around 24.25 million GP per time you build it. This is the Demonic Throne. For all of that money, all you get in return is 25,000 construction experience. So to put in perspective how expensive it really is, for 1 million construction experience, you'd have to spend 970 million GP. So almost a billion GP for just 1 million construction experience. What is the most expensive RuneScape aura? Well, this one is quite simple, and it is simple because there aren't many auras you can actually buy using GP. The Madrat aura at 204 million GP is the most expensive aura in the game, as it costs 3 bonds, so about 21 euros. The aura itself increases your damage by 5% and increases the cap of your divine locations by 5% and lasts for a whole hour. Currently, the most expensive pocket slot item is the Scripture of Fall, being an item dropped by Toscal Zuck in both normal and hard mode. It will set you back around 390 million GP, or about 6 bonds or 42 euros. When you think of an expensive necklace or amulet, you think of the Essence of Finality. However, this is not the most expensive necklace in the game. It is the Third Age amulet, costing around 410 million GP and being a reward from Clue Scrolls. The most expensive ring will be covered later in the video due to its immense price tag. So what's the most expensive ability in the game as of right now? Well, that would be the Greater Ricochet ability, costing 889 million GP and fluctuating up and down, of course. This would mean it will cost you about 13 bonds or 91 euros to obtain, if you were buying it with bonds. Now there's something a little bit more expensive that is still related to abilities, however it's just a cosmetic override. It's the Azure Dragon Breath ability. This tradable scroll turns your Dragon Breath into a blue version of it, and also happens to be the most expensive tradable scroll in the game. Since we're talking about cosmetics anyway, what is the most expensive tradable walk token? Well, that would be the Assassin's Walk, which now costs about 1 billion GP if I am to believe the sources online. For those unaware, this item used to be worth much more, but it was reintroduced into Treasure Hunter this year. Now 1 billion GP is the equivalent of 15 bonds, or about 104.85 euros. The most expensive armor set in RuneScape is the Crypt Bloom armor set, dropped by the Croesus Skilling boss at around 1.9 billion GP for the entire set. This is the equivalent of around 28 bonds, or 195.72 euros. The single most expensive boss drop is dropped from the Zamrak boss, being the Bottom of the Last Guardian bow piece, being around 2.7 billion GP. That is the equivalent of 40 bonds or 279.6 euros. We then find ourselves looking at the most expensive ring in RuneScape, being the Hazelmere Signet Ring, which provides both tier 4 luck and a 1 in 1000 chance per item to double any drop. Now the ring is dropped from pretty much any monster that has access to the rare drop table, and that includes Seren Spirits from the Grace of the Elves, as long as you're using tier 4 luck, so you have a Luck of the Dwarves equipped. The reason it's so expensive though is because it's simply incredibly rare. 3.3 billion GP will be about 49 bonds or 342.51 euros. We then arrive at the most expensive cape in the game, and while you might think it's the Abomination Cape, it is in fact a cape token. The exact price of this cape depends entirely on the type of cape, but currently the inverted skill cape tokens, which can only be traded once player to player from Fresh Start Worlds, are the most expensive cape in the game, which require you to have the original cape, of course. So let's say they cost 5 billion GP, that's 74 bonds or 517.26 euros. The price, of course, entirely depends on who you're buying from, and it doesn't matter, they're the most expensive cape in the game. The most expensive tool in RuneScape is Guildmaster Tony's Mattock, an item obtained by using a shadowy key on a display case obtained at a 1 in 10,000 chance from Tetra compasses. It currently costs about 6 billion GP, and that is a rough estimate, of course, because these items are not traded often. It is a tier 99 Mattock that is the best Mattock in the game, giving you more artifacts per hour and more experience per hour. 6 billion GP is also the amount the most expensive weapon in this game costs, being the Bow of the Last Guardian, and that is again a rough estimate because the pieces go up and down in price, but that will set you back 88 bonds, around 615.12 euros. There's a good chance you've considered to buy a dye to spice up your high-leveled gear, but what is the most expensive dye in the game? Well, that title goes towards the Blood dye, which is around 8.1 billion GP, or 190 bonds, or 831.81 euro. The Blood dye is an incredibly rare drop from either the Giant Oyster D&D and Elite and Master Clue Skull caskets. From Elites, it has a drop rate of 1 in 10,192 per casket. It's so expensive due to its rarity and because it makes your weapons and armor look absolutely wicked. It is, however, not the most expensive Clue Scroll award. That title goes to the Orlando Smith hat, a 1 in 104,782 drop from a Master Clue Scroll reward casket. The Orlando Smith hat is a sought after item because it gives you a chance to get you an additional lower tiered reward casket when opening reward caskets, and for that reason it's so expensive. At 10 billion GP, it's not only the most expensive single drop item you can get from anything in this game, it's also the most expensive hero item as well. 10 billion GP is the equivalent of 147 bonds, or about 1,027 euros. Another thing worth 10 billion GP is RuneScape's most expensive pet, being the Richie bird with the party hat, which can be obtained by giving him, Richie, 10 billion GP in the Grand Exchange. The lowest tier version of this pet will set you back 100 million GP and will give you the bird with the regular hat and red colored fabric. I believe the most expensive tradable pet as of right now is the Pet of Seasons token, which is going for as much as 900 million GP. As of recent trades, according to online sources. If those are accurate, I don't know. The most expensive edible in RuneScape would be the pumpkin, which will set you back 2.1 billion GP, but if we include drinkables, which are also edibles technically because they heal you, the half-full wine jug is the most expensive edible in the game, being 10.5 billion GP, or about 1,076 euros. The reason this item is so expensive is because it's a very old discontinued item, as you now drink jugs of wine in a single sip. And then we arrive at the most expensive item in RuneScape, and no, it's no longer the blue party hat, it's the Christmas cracker, an item you can pull to get a random colored party hat. Currently costs about 167 billion GP, which is the equivalent of 2,456 bonds, or 17,167 euro. This amount is so absurd that even if you were able to play for 24 hours a day and make 15 million GP per hour net profit, you wouldn't even be able to afford this after a year of playing 24/7. It is simply an item that very little players will ever own in RuneScape. With that being said, we've covered a variety of expensive RuneScape items. If you enjoyed the video and found it interesting, be sure to drop a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.